I want to talk about influence and inspiration. When Vanessa asked me to do this, to talk about inspiration, I was actually really struggling with inspiration. This whole series, the water series that I started about 10 years ago, started with a whole lot of paint. I had worked in murals and interior finishing, and I ended up with a whole lot of leftover paint. And a really good relationship with the paint company who opened the door and said, "Help yourself." I was like, yes! I had so much paint to work with. And that got this whole thing started because I was able to just play. I started just throwing paint around and watched what it did. And it was so exciting because things were happening that I'd never seen before. Because you'd get these interesting reactions. And visually, it was not something I could have done on my own from my own brain. It was just happening right there in front of me. So I had that going on. And at the same time, I had a different border collie who I was taking to High Park, to Grenadier Pond, and playing with every day. I was down there by the water for at least an hour. So I had the paint going on, and it's moving and doing really cool things. And then I started to make this connection between what was going on, what I was seeing when I was at the lake. So these things started to come together, and it all started showing up in my work. So I started getting a handle on it, and once that started to happen, I had to get rid of all the old crap paint and start moving into more professional paint, which changed it a little bit more. So every time I started to play, the whole thing started getting more and more refined. Inspiration was a real challenge. I'd hit a wall. I'd hit one of those, writer's block things. Like I was flat out this summer and just couldn't get it. Now, what do you do when what you love to do suddenly becomes a job and you just don't want to go to work? It's like, you can't quit. How do I quit? But I did. I said, I quit. I went online. I started looking for a job for about a minute. I realized, okay, I got the ideal job. What I really needed to do was lose that job mentality, the drudgery of, I have to do this. So for me, when I get to that point where I've hit the wall, I'm out, I don't know what to do, I go back to where it all started, which was playing. I had to get my head back to a playful state. Because when you're playing, you're in the moment, you're open to exploration, you're experimenting, and all these different influences you're allowed to take it in when you're in a playful state of mind because you're curious. Play is how we've learned to do most of what we've come to do. So I gave it up, went down to the lake with the dogs, and tried to let go of all that stuff that was oppressing me. And as it started to melt away, I started again to see what was going on in the lake. And that day, there just happened to be a little bit of pink, just a little bit of pink to catch my attention, long enough to keep me in the moment so that I could really take in what I was seeing. So after about an hour of watching the pink and the sparkles on the light, I was ready to move on. So back to the studio. I'd already started this painting. I was having some challenges on how to get it from this darker, because I was in a darker kind of moody place. But my experience of the lake was sort of filling me up in a way that felt good. So I spent a lot of time with this particular painting just to bring my own energy up to a higher, nicer place. So this became my summer meditation. I spent a lot of time just sitting, watching the light, hanging out with my dog, and watching the light. And so I spent longer than normal on that painting. Sometimes I actually had a couple on the go at the same time, and so I would lighten myself up by working on the almost more optimistic areas of the paintings, and that would sort of take me to another spot where I could fill in and pull out different areas of another painting. So sometimes I have a couple of different things going on. One, I might have a struggle over here and not quite know what to do with it, so I'll go work on here, figure it out over here, and then go, okay, that's what I need to do over there. So sometimes I got a few going on. I think why I like painting water is because it brings in that, there's realism and abstraction in the same place. So I can go completely abstract and then stand back, and then I can pull out and make it a little bit more like water. So I get both. Prior to the water, when roses, I went on a rose binge for a while. Yeah, my first rose, I loved it. I thought, wow, that's amazing. It's a beautiful little rose. And I thought, I'll just do another one. That was easy. So I did it. The next one was really, really hard. And so then I was like, I had to get back to where it was easy. I did about 40 roses, and that was it. Yeah. So I think that actually helped me see. It was a whole process, I think, of learning to use acrylics in a very realistic way. So now I can integrate the realism with that cool, weird splashing stuff. It's just so much fun.
Thanks, Elva.
You're welcome.